Hello, I'm Jeffrey Kirk. I want you to think about your website as it is today. Is it invisible? What I mean is this. If you have a website, you either went through the effort to get a custom site or you were given a site by some parent organization. Either way, you published it to the world and then you waited and waited and waited some more. Where are all the prospects you expected? Where are the potential customers you know are searching online? And so you wonder, why isn't your website working to bring in prospects? The reality is, your website developer did not start with visibility in mind. Think about how your website came about. When you started the process to get a website, was your primary goal to have a site that would show up in the search results? Sure, you might have wanted your site to show in the search results, and you might have even expected your site to show in the search results. But was that really your primary goal? Probably not. For most businesses, their primary goal is to have a website that nicely represents their business online, giving a great first impression. In other words, you want a website that gives you credibility when visitors arrive. That means credibility is the primary goal, and credibility has nothing to do with showing up in the search results. Therefore, visibility gets lost. And the problem is particularly bad if you have some kind of cookie cutter website. These are the sites that are often provided to franchise owners or independent agents of larger companies. Good examples of these problematic sites would include those for real estate agents and insurance agents. There can be several agents of the same large company competing within a specific geographic area. The reason these sites are worse than most is that with templated websites, the best case scenario is that your site looks like dozens or even hundreds of other websites. Because the sites are so similar to one another, your site blends in and Google cannot distinguish it from the others. There is no reason to rank your site ahead of any other site. But even that is not the whole story. It can get uglier. I've seen cases where the provider of the site does not want your site to compete with their site. Again, think about insurance agents. Insurance company Brand X might give a website to each of their agents, but if someone does a search for the company by name, they don't want the agent's site to appear. They want the corporate site to show up in the search results. And therefore, the site they give you is specifically designed so that it will never show up in the search results. It might even intentionally tell the search engines to ignore it. I'm not making this stuff up. In my years of helping businesses get seen online, I've seen cases just like this. And can you imagine the surprise and frustration to learn that the corporate office was responsible? But it doesn't really matter if you have a custom website or a template website or one provided by a franchise or a corporate headquarters. If it was not designed for visibility, then no one will find your website because it doesn't show up high enough on page 1. And therefore the credibility you wanted and the business boost you thought you'd get goes to waste unless you are out networking, meeting with people, advertising, or in other ways giving out your website address. Does this sound familiar? And even if you're fortunate enough to have a site that was designed for visibility, your results have probably dropped off quite a bit in the last few years. Why is that? Well, consider this. Is there more or less online competition than there was just a few years ago? And is there more or less noise in the market? Of course there's more competition and there's more noise. And that means your website has to compete with more and more businesses, local ones, as well as those that are further away. These are not the early days of the internet anymore where you could just put up a website and people would show up. Actually, those days never really existed anyway outside of mythology. But people often thought that if you build it, they would come. And sure, there are stories, but for most businesses, showing up in the search results has always taken deliberate action. If you want your site to show up when someone does a search, you have to give the search engines what they want. Without any added help, it's very rare for a site that was built for credibility to beat a site that was built for visibility. But you don't have to scrap your site. In most cases, it doesn't make sense to start over. You spent too much money already, so keep the good stuff. There are things you can do to make your site more visible. You might enjoy a free webinar I'm offering in which I show you 3 easy steps you can take to get search engines to feature your business so that prospects find and call you. It's the fastest free way to leapfrog your competition and rocket to the top of the search results for your product or service in your local area, regardless of your business or the condition of your website, and without spending any money on ads or search engine optimization. What I teach you in the webinar will work for you, even if you don't believe it. But what I believe is that every legitimate business deserves to be found online by their prospects. Your business deserves to be seen online. So click the webinar link below to join me. Thanks for watching. Please share this with your business friends and have a great day.